Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hello everybody, my name is Benjamin Castrita. I am the owner of ChartShot.com and I am a Twitch affiliate at twitch.tv/Iggy2814. And I'm here to talk to you about the game that has made me a better fighting game player and the game that has introduced me to the larger fighting game community, aka the FGC. I am here to talk to you about my love for Street Fighter V. I remember when Street Fighter V was announced, and I was so excited because I felt so behind when people were playing Ultra Street Fighter 4 and its different iterations. And when I knew Street Fighter V was announced, I was psyched. I was like, this is it. This is where I can start. Everybody's at the same level, and I can improve my game. And so I saved up money and I put down $60. I bought a brand new computer to play Street Fighter V online and to compete with the best players in the world at ground level, all learning a new game. And as a personal fighting game player, there's no better moment to play a fighting game than the first couple of weeks where everybody's learning new stuff, everybody's at ground level. It's awesome. But what makes Street Fighter V special to me is through this game, it has made me a better fighting game player. I was always in love with fighting games back in the early 90s from Street Fighter 2, your Mortal Kombat's, your Killer Instincts. You've heard them, you've seen them. But Street Fighter V is the first game that made me want to take it serious, and that I wanted to learn how to become better at the game, not just at a casual level, but to where I could go to tournaments and try to compete with some of the best players in the world. And it was just me by myself, and I became frustrated with this game. I won't lie to you. The early days of Street Fighter V, I was getting beat by stuff I didn't understand. Everything perplexed me. Why didn't this work? Why didn't this work? And it wasn't until I joined a community called Super Couch Fighters in their YouTube channel, and where I started to learn the process of what the fundamentals are to become a better fighting game player, and the evolution that I've gone on. If you talk to Ben in 2016 and showed his skill, and then you talk to Ben in 2022 where he's at now, what he's able to do now, 2016 Ben would be crazy. And it's through Street Fighter V where I learned this, how to apply my game, how to understand basic functions that have carried with me to Mortal Kombat, to Guilty Gear, to Killer Instinct. All of that stems from Street Fighter V, and it all stems from it because I love playing this game. I love how fast Street Fighter V is. I love, especially now, I love its character variety. I love its music. There was a point in around 2017, 2018, I was playing Street Fighter V almost every single week at the end of my workday. I'd come home, whether it be 2 o'clock in the afternoon or it could be 10 o'clock at night. It didn't matter because I would boot up Street Fighter and it's on. I'm gonna play some Street Fighter. And slowly but surely, I would end up joining a community called the Super Couch Fighters, where that is where I truly credit. And I believe this is around 2017, it had to have been 2017, where I really started to hone my craft and to be able to understand what I was doing wrong, how to get better, and not simply just getting mad at stupid stuff. I learned how to anti-air, which is basically preventing against aerial attacks. I learned that sometimes being defensive is perfectly fine. All these little basic things that I took for granted as a younger player really stuck with me. And it's all thanks to that community and those wonderful people. And I'll never forget, at some points, the Super Couch Fighters community, we actually would have days where like, hey, anybody want to play? And there'd be a whole bunch of people playing or a couple people playing. But I remember this one comment, and I apologize if I can't remember this person's name, but we played maybe a year, several months prior. And I was playing, and then we played again for the first time in this month. And there's one comment that pushed me to become an even better player. And he says, "Wow, you've really improved." I had never anybody tell me that before. And not that, no disrespect to my friends. None of my friends are hardcore fighting game players for the most part, or understand the journey of going from a casual player to wanting to be competitive and to be competitive like I was doing. And to hear that from somebody, even in something as small as that, was so rewarding. It told me, don't stop, keep going, you're there. And it was shortly after that moment in Street Fighter V where I was like, you know what, I want to go to a tournament. And so for the first time in my life, I went to a fighting game tournament, one of the biggest in the entire world, called Combo Breaker in Chicago, just outside of Chicago, Illinois. I believe it's in the St. Charles area. Wonderful tournament. And I trained. I remember I decided in December 2017, I'm going to go to Combo Breaker. I'm going to go to Chicago. I'm going to go compete with the best players in the world, and I'm going to see what I can do. I trained until I couldn't even. I went from Street Fighter V has a ranking system where I went from silver, from rookie all the way to gold, and for me that meant a lot. Hitting that gold status was validation. It doesn't really mean anything to a lot of people, but to me it meant everything. It meant that all the learning that I've done, all the studying that I've done, all of that work that I put in was paid off and validated. Like, yes, you made it here. You understand this game. And I'd never been more ecstatic. It was the best feeling. And I went to Combo Breaker, and I didn't go very far, but I won a game. I went 2-2. The other win comes from my other opponent being disqualified, so I don't really count that. But in the record books, it shows me as having a win. But I'll never forget the nervousness I had waiting for my match to start, watching other players, trying to pick up little habits. And I still remember I was playing, I fought a Balrog player who's the boxer from Street Fighter 2, and I was so nervous. I swore I was sweating extra hard, and it came down. We were both inches away from death, and I remembered a situation where I fought a Balrog online the weeks prior, and I knew this Balrog was going to do it, so I simply applied what I learned there, and I won the game. I shook my my opponent's hand, and I moved on to the next round. It was, that one win will always stick with me. That most people who enter tournaments go 0-2, and that's perfectly okay. And I kind of put in the back of my head, it's okay if you go 0-2. There's no shame in that. So I felt like I won the heavyweight championship of the world. That my hard work paid off. My just remembering that one instance of that scenario that a Balrog player did against me, I won because of it. And it showed me that yes, you are listening. You are understanding. This is your game. Make it your game. Unfortunately, I would then lose in the next round, but it was perfectly fine because I was on cloud 9. I got a win, and ultimately they say wins and matters don't matter. It's how you improve. But to me, that was the validation that I needed. I love Street Fighter V so much that now And I'm thankful for Street Fighter V, because now the knowledge that I've accumulated from this game, I've applied it to other games now. So other games are more fun for me. And that is the greatest experience, that my universal knowledge from playing this game for so many hours applies here. Now, not everything's one for one, but like just basic stuff, understanding things. It showed to me that it wasn't a waste of time, that you did do the right thing, that these hours and hours of playing paid off. I could talk forever on how much I love Street Fighter V. I love its characters. I love Street Fighter V so much that I picked one character to start with, which was a character by the name of Rashid, and then this led me to meeting a buddy of mine who is known as Sriracha Flash on Twitter, where I challenged him to a 1st to 10, which is basically, as it is, a 1st to 10 to whichever you play each other up until whichever side has a first wins 10 matches. And we did 3 of those, and each one of them was so much fun and so exciting and thrilling, and figuring out what your opponent's gonna do over a long period of time is great. There's no other high that I want so much that I now do those with my own friends in various other fighting games. It's ecstatic. It's a high that I love. People have drugs. My drug is fighting games. And Street Fighter V was definitely the inoculator. I owe so much to this game. I owe so much. I have met so many astounding people from it. So many people I would consider great mentors, close friends. And none of that would have been possible if I didn't buy this game back in 2016. Its character roster is amazing. Its stages are amazing. I love its gameplay. It's hard-hitting, fast break gameplay is a lot of fun. I couldn't have asked for a better game to start with, in all honesty. So thank you for listening to me wax poetic about why Street Fighter V is important to me. And as always, people, happy gaming.
So, I have a question. Have you ever wanted to get into comics, but you just didn't know where to start? Well, welcome to Comics Quest. I'm JD Martin, and every week I sit down with a guest to talk a comic that I think anybody can pick up and start their comics reading journey. We take a look at psychedelic sci-fi, fantastical action, heart-wrenching love stories, and of course, superheroes. So check us out at certainpov.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
CPOV.
certainpov.com.